जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदा नंदना ब्रज जनरन जय यशोदा नंदना जय ब्रज जनरन जय चारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय जमुनाति रावण चारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा वैभव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा वैभव जय कुंज बिहारी नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाचार्येण निर्विशेष श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता शिवासादि हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे राम हरे राम राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jayo Gauranita, Jayo Gauranita, Gauranita. Jayo Gauranita, Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jayo Jayo Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैव। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं सागरजाता सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibav session. So last time we discussed about importance of sincere repentance on the part of devotee for any mistake that is done inadvertently. So just to revise, can anyone mention one by one the steps? Maybe I will request devotees that we discussed last time. Sadatushta Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, can you unmute?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, you recollect Prabhuji any steps that we discussed?
Prabhuji, I've just finished my exam and just joining. Yeah, I didn't listen to you, Prabhuji, what you said.
My question is, do you recollect the steps that we discussed for sincere repentance that a devotee undertakes whenever any mistakes or offense happens inadvertently? We discussed few steps, how a devotee sincerely repenting should rectify his mistake.
Prabhuji, I'm sorry, Prabhu, I'm not recollecting that.
Okay, fine.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prema Prakash Haridas Prabhuji.
The first and the foremost step is bowing down with the head down. That immediately makes the opposite party understand that you are repenting for whatever just happened.
Yeah, so first step is to acknowledge, to accept that the mistake has happened. And then, yes, so one of the ways one accepts is also what Prabhuji mentioned, that is the proper etiquette, that we bow down, accept our mistake. What is the next step? Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Sincerely ask for the excuse. Sorry.
Yes, sincerely asking for forgiveness. Yes. What next?
We accept
ready to that is accept the any punishment whatever we have done the mistake. So that
yes, and that punishment should be in a way that would rectify the offensive mentality. That punishment should not be a self-inflicted pain which would take us away from Krishna or away from the association of devotees. Like we mentioned, we discussed one example of a devotee. I don't know whether it was in this setup, but during the time of Srila Prabhupada, one devotee, because of the past conditioning, he used the temple Lakshmi, and his motive was pure, that to raise the funds for the temple, running of the temple and the community. But he used the wrong means. He invested in some stock market and all, and the money got lost. And Srila Prabhupada told this devotee that whatever has happened, don't do that again, and you continue with your devotional service. But this devotee was so much attached to rectifying that mistake in his own way by trying to bring that money that he had lost, and that was Krishna's Lakshmi, that he completely went astray. And it was many years and many decades after that mistake, and by that time Srila Prabhupada had already left this world. When he came back to sanity and came back in the association of devotees, so that much valuable part of his life was lost because of not heeding to Srila Prabhupada's advice of continuing with his devotional service and being very adamant to his own conception of how that mistake should be rectified. So conclusion is that punishment should be accepted, but that punishment should take us closer to Krishna, should make us more sincere, and that punishment cannot be a self-inflicted one based on our own false ego, which can take us away from Krishna. So we have to be very careful with this third point. And what was the 4th point, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, anyone? Venkata Narasimha, Prabhuji, you were saying something?
To alleviate the pain caused to the person.
Very nice. So we try to reinstate our relationship with that particular devotee. And we saw in great length the interaction between Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and one of the great devotees, Vallabha Bhatt, who momentarily, inadvertently, he had basically done a error by disregarding the authority of the great Vaishnava commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, Sridhar Swami, and how Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately rectified that mentality of Vallabha Bhatt and did not appreciate it. In fact, he was very sharp in his retort to Vallabha Bhatt, where he mentioned that one who does not follow the Swami is a prostitute. And Vallabha Bhatt, after returning to his home, he contemplated on it that why did Mahaprabhu behave in this manner? And then he understood his mistake and he rectified it by admitting it in front of Mahaprabhu the next day. And Mahaprabhu gave him a chance, another chance to rectify by writing a commentary which is properly aligned with the predecessor acharyas, especially Sridhar Swami. So we saw this pastime, and we also saw how Mahaprabhu made sure that the relationship that he had with Vallabha Bhatt was not damaged by rewarding Vallabha Bhatt by making sure that Mahaprabhu visits his home with all his devotees. Previously, when he had visited the home of Vallabha Bhatt for Prasadam, I believe he had gone alone or with probably one or two associates. But this time, in order to show his pleasure for the rectification done by Vallabha Bhatt, Mahaprabhu visited with all his devotees who were there in Jagannath Puri. And Vallabha Bhatt's Chaitanya Charitamrita states how Vallabha Bhatt's joy knew no bounds by seeing Mahaprabhu arrive with all his devotees in order for honoring Prasadam. So this is a very important step, that not only do we take remedial measures to take punishment, to accept mistake, to rectify that it doesn't happen and all, but most importantly, we make sure that whatever hurt, whatever harm we have caused to the other devotee, we put efforts to reinstate that relationship and don't leave it at that point itself. And through this example of Vallabha Bhatt, we saw how the Lord himself is very, very careful, showing through his own behavior. Of course, the mistake was not from his side, mistake was from the devotee's side. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed through his own example for all of us how we should make sure that this devotee's relationship is not impacted. And then subsequently we saw how in the life of Parikshit Maharaj, he displays all these exemplary Vaishnava qualities. And we also discussed how two reasons why Parikshit Maharaj did not go back to Shamik Rishi to beg pardon. Anyone remembers any one reason? We request devotees who have not spoken. Devika Mataji, Gita, Pradeep Mataji, Gunavati.
He accepted Krishna's plan, Prabhu. He thought it is only the
Yes.
Lord, and he accepted it.
Yes, so that was the second reason why Parikshit Maharaj did not go back to Shamik Rishi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
One second, Adi, let me finish. So Parikshit Maharaj did not want to negate what was meted out to him, what he considered as Krishna's plan, and he wanted to go ahead with it, although Bhagavatam mentioned that he was completely capable to counteract it. Yes, Adidev Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one of the reasons was he did not want to make, he want to like make the body feel ashamed, like because he was like he was not happy with what his son had done.
Yes, very true. Thank you, Prabhuji. So Shamik Rishi was not at all happy with what his son had done, and he was already very embarrassed. So as a result, as a matter of duty, he sent one of his whatever disciples, students or associates to convey that message to Parikshit Maharaj that his death would be impending in 7 days, and so that Parikshit Maharaj could prepare himself. So because Shamik Rishi was already feeling embarrassed, Parikshit Maharaj did not want to cause him further awkwardness by going before him to beg pardon, which would remind the sage of his son's mistake again. So he wanted to avoid further embarrassment and awkwardness for the sage. So these two reasons we saw. And then we concluded the discussion last time by explaining how Parikshit Maharaj he decided to fast until death, and he went to the banks of the Ganges or Yamuna. Srila Prabhupada mentions both in these verses and the next. So he went to the banks of the Ganges to fast until death. And we will see as part of the discussion today how various great saintly personalities, they appeared at that particular place to show their support to Maharaj Parikshit. And knowing the spiritual stature of Maharaj Parikshit, he being a great devotee of the Lord, and knowing that he will certainly go back home, back to Godhead, they came to witness Maharaj Parikshit's glorious departure back home, back to Godhead. And also many of those sages who came, as we will see, they were Trikala Darshi. That means they knew the past, present and future, and they knew that Srimad Bhagavatam would appear to deliver Maharaj Parikshit and everyone else. So they wanted to also hear Srimad Bhagavatam in that particular saintly assembly. So with this, we will start our discussion today. Any devotees have any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, on this last discussion or the revision that we did? Hare Krishna. All right. So let's get started. Let me make few more devotees co-host. All right. Yeah, so this verse we had seen, text 8. We start with text 9 onwards. This, can anyone confirm, Prabhuji's, Mataji, we already discussed this verse or no? Text 8?
No, Prabhuji, only till 7th we have done.
Only. Okay, okay, fine. So let us discuss this verse also. Anyone wants to recite? Mahesh Prabhu, you wanted
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
You want to recite? Okay, okay. Hare Krishna.
Tannopajagnurbhuvanam punana mahanubhava munaya sashishya prayena tirthagavigamapadeshe swayam hitirthani punanti santaha.
Translation?
Should I?
Yes.
The whole translation and
Yet.
the purport? Okay.
Just the translation, purport will go through one by one, highlighted.
Okay. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. At that time, all the great minds and thinkers, accompanied by their disciples and sages who could verily sanctify a place of pilgrimage just by their presence, arrived there on the plea of making a pilgrim's journey.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this particular part, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, does it sound similar? Where did we last see it? That saintly persons who could verily sanctify even a place of pilgrimage by their presence. Where did we see these wordings recently? In whose case?
Vidura.
Vidura. Who was glorifying Vidura with these words? Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj, the famous verse that we saw, Tirtham Kurvanti Tirthani. Yudhishthir Maharaj, when Vidura comes back to the palace of the Kurus, the Pandavas, Yudhishthir Maharaj glorifies Vidura's arrival, and he glorifies Vidura Maharshi by saying that the saintly persons like Vidura can sanctify even the place of pilgrimage. And Srila Prabhupada mentions there in the purport, and Prabhupada is also mentioning here in the purport, how the places of pilgrimage, they wash away the sins and the sinful reactions of all the people who visit those places. And as a result of which, those sins, they become, the places of pilgrimage, they become overburdened by those sins. But the saintly persons like Vidura, or the saintly persons who have assembled here in the assembly on the banks of the Ganges, they are capable of purifying even the places of pilgrimage which become overburdened by these sins accumulated by the sinful persons who come there. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you can read through the highlighted portion.
Yes, Prabhuji. Purport. Actually, they came to meet Maharaj Parikshit and not to take a bath of pilgrimage, because all of them were competent enough to sanctify the places of pilgrimage. Common men go to pilgrimage sites to get themselves purified of all sins. Thus, the places of pilgrimage actually become overburdened with the sins of others. But when such sages visit overburdened places of pilgrimage, they sanctify the places by their presence.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And also there is one famous verse, those of us who hear Srila Prabhupada, we would note down some of the verses that Srila Prabhupada quotes many often, or which are his favorite ones. In fact, there is a very nice book available in all the ISKCON temples called Selected Verses, which has the collection of all the verses from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other Srila Prabhupada books, which are quoted very often by Srila Prabhupada in his talks or in his classes. And one of that verse is Yasyasti Buddhi Trunapeti Dhatuke. We'll try to see that verse. Trunapeti. So I think I have not mentioned it correctly. Yasyasti Buddhi Trunapeti Dhatuke Swadhi kalatra dishu bhauma ijjati yattirtha buddhi salilena karhichit janeshu abadneshu sa eva gokharaha. Yasyatma, sorry, not yasyasti, yasyatma buddhi kunapeti dhratuke. That one who considers that this body made up of the three dhatu, namely the kapha, vata and pitta, as his own self, swadik kalatra dishu bhauma ijjati, and whatever is the birthplace of that person, he considers it as very glorious because he himself, oneself is born in that particular place. Or yattirtha buddhi salilena karechit, one who goes to the place of pilgrimage just to take bath in the holy waters without bothering to associate with the saintly personalities who can reveal that holy place without being eager to hear from them. Janeshu abhidneshu sa eva gokharaha. Srimad Bhagavatam or the scriptures call such a person no better than a cow or an ass, a donkey. Why? Because he is still in a very bodily concept of life and still trying to get immediate gain without trying to get prayas, which is the lasting gain. Shreyas and prayas. Am I confusing the two? One is the immediate gain and one is the lasting gain. So those persons who try to get immediate gain by trying to get rid of their sinful reactions by visiting a holy place, taking a bath there, but who don't bother to hear from the sadhus which can reveal that holy place, such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. So we see that these saintly persons who came to the banks of the Ganges, apparently they came in the outside cause of visiting the holy place and purifying themselves. But Bhagavatam mentioned that was not their cause. They went to show their support to Maharaj Parikshit and associate with other saintly persons who would be coming there and to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. They came to meet Maharaj Parikshit and not to take a bath of pilgrimage. So we proceed. Prabhuji, please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji. But on the plea of taking a bath in that place, they came to meet Maharaj Parikshit because they could foresee that Srimad Bhagavatam would be spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. All of them wanted to take advantage of that great occasion.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So in the next verse, we see who were the different great sages who came in that particular occasion. And we also saw similar list of great sages when we saw recently Prabhuji's Mataji's in which episode? list of great sages who assembled together last few chapters back. When was it?
Naimisharanya Tirth.
That was much earlier, but recently we saw one more.
Bhishma Dev.
Bhishma Dev's passing away. Very nice, Rohini Mataji and Venkata Narasimha Prabhu. So Bhishma Dev's passing away. Also, we see all these great saintly personalities visiting to witness the glorious passing away of Bhishma Dev and to take the benefit of the association of Supreme Personality of Godhead Lord Krishna himself, who had come to bless his pure devotee. So we won't read this verse in the interest of time, but we will go through the important points from the different sages. Mahesh Prabhu, you can continue reading translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
From different parts of the universe, there arrived great sages like Atri, Chavan, Shardvan, Arishtanemi, Brigu, Vashishta, Parashar, Vishwamitra, Angira, Parshuram, Utthaya, Utatya, Indra Pramad, Idmavahu, Medhatithi, Devala, Arishtasena, Bhardwaj, Gautam, Piplad, Maitreya, Orva, Kavash, Kumbhayoni, Dvaipayan, and the great personality Narada.
Thank you, brother. So if we go through the details of the sages, we will only see the salient points, important points. We will see that some of these personalities are even now existing on the earthly planet, conducting, like performing great austerities, chanting the holy names of the Lord. And we had also discussed this particular point at that point in time during the pastime of Bhishma Dev leaving his body, that there are these great personalities residing on the earthly planet even now, including the Naranarayan Rishi, Vyasadev, so on and so forth. And there are written documentations, like say for example in the life of Madhvacharya, it is explained that when he was walking towards north, his disciples were following, and when he proceeded beyond Badrika Ashram, his disciples could follow only up to a certain distance, and then they could no longer follow and they fell unconscious, and Madhvacharya proceeded further to meet Srila Vyasadeva. So these personalities, some of these personalities are existing even now. Now let us see. My request is all of you please go through in detail at your leisure through the glorious descriptions of these sages. We will see some of the salient points. One is Bhrigu Muni. So Bhrigu Muni is famous for, he is one of the sons of Brahma. So he was born through the sacrificial fire when Brahma performed a great sacrifice for Varuna Dev. So he's one of the sons of Brahma, and he is the author of Brahma Samhita, which gives great astrological calculations. In fact, the science of astronomy is based on the principles that Bhrigu Muni has mentioned in the Brahma Samhita, and one of the great astrologers who was very qualified was Srila Prabhupada's own spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he himself mentioned the limitations in terms of having qualified astrologers in the modern times, and he himself did not very much advocate through his own life the astrology for devotees as such. So there are certain exceptions within the devotee circles where devotees do visit astrologers for some reason or another. But these great souls, especially the advanced devotees, we see that their purpose in visiting astrologers is only one: how they can better their devotional service or how they can further increase their surrender to Lord Krishna. It is never for their personal maintenance or benefit. Okay, so Bhrigu Muni is one of the great proponents of these astrological calculations, where he has written Bhrigu Samhita. And rest you can. Parashar Muni. Parashar Muni is the father of Vyasadev, and we see Srila Prabhupada referring to Parashar Muni for a very specific purpose in his Bhagavad Gita purports. Anybody recollects? What does Srila Prabhupada refer Parashar Muni for in his purports?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Bhagavan Prabhu.
Bhagavan. Very nice, Mataji. Yes, Adidev Prabhu, you wanted to share same thing?
Yes, Prabhu. He mentions the definition of Bhagavan.
Bhagavan. So
the 6 opulences.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Srila Prabhupada mentions Parashar Muni is the one, the father of Vyasadeva, who coined this term Bhagavan as one being full of 6 opulences: strength, wealth, beauty, fame, knowledge, and renunciation. So he's father of Vyasadeva, and also his ancestors are mentioned. He is the grandson of Vasishta Muni. And we can understand by reading the history of these great sages how they are all interlinked, in the sense that somebody is the ancestor or somebody are the descendants. So we can understand their links as well. That means Vyasadeva is also ultimately coming down in the line of Vasishta Muni. And these successions from great sages are mentioned in 2 ways. One is the biological succession in the family tree, and second is succession in the form of disciplic succession. So that is also considered as succession. Like for Gautama Rishi, subsequently Srila Prabhupada mentions that he has successors both in the Brahmana, also having Gautama Gotra, and Kshatriyas and Vaishya also having Gautama Gotra. And Prabhupada mentions that how the Brahmana Gotra ones are the ones coming in the biological descendants, like his family tree, and those Kshatriyas and Vaishyas claiming Gautama Gotra are through his disciplic succession. So we proceed. Vishwamitra we have discussed earlier. Vishwamitra Rishi's major contribution is he being the spiritual master of Lord Ramachandra, and not to be stressed are his interactions. Like generally people, they remember Vishwamitra for his fall down because of allurements presented by Menaka and all. But more glorious than that is his position as the spiritual master of Lord Ramachandra. And how in this particular body, without changing the body, he performed such severe austerities and gained Brahma Tejas that he, although born as a Kshatriya, he became a qualified Brahmana. And of course, there were some misunderstandings with Vasishta with respect to the Kamadhenu cow and all, but that is secondary. The next is Angira Rishi, and Angira Rishi is also one of the children. So most of these saintly persons we see, they are like first generation or second generation from Lord Brahma. So some of them are a part of the Saptarshis as well. So Angira Rishi is also one of the 6 mental sons of Brahma and father of Brahaspati. And for Angira Rishi, it is mentioned that he is still performing austerity and chanting of the holy names of the Lord even now at a place known as Alokananda. So many of these personalities are still living. Then Utatya, he is the son of Angira Rishi. This you can go through. Devala, this particular Rishi's reference we see in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada also quotes here. His good name is on the list of authorities mentioned in Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna acknowledged Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anybody recollects that verse? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what is that verse in Bhagavad Gita?
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Madi Deva Macham Vipu
Ahostva
Mrashesh Sarve Deva Shirnardastada Asido Devalo Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Pravishim. Thank you,
Mataji. So after in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the opulence of the Absolute, we see after the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita is done, after 10.8, 9, 10 and 11, then we see Arjuna completely surrendering to Krishna, accepting him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in that verse, he mentions that Krishna, don't think that you are my friend, that's why I am flattering you. Not just me, but even these great saintly persons that he quotes, including Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Narada, and Swayam Chaiva Bravishimi, that now yourself, my dear Lord, you have manifested yourself as you have confirmed your identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. So Devala is one of the authorities quoted by Arjuna to confirm Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord. So Gautama Rishi we briefly discussed, his descendants, and Maitreya Maharshi. So we see that this particular episode of Parikshit Maharaja's passing away is happening much later, but Maitreya Rishi is also present when Lord Krishna, just before concluding his pastimes, he is giving his final instructions, like just before his departure, to Uddhava, and Lord Krishna wanted to speak actually to Uddhava and Vidura, both these great devotees of his. But Vidura had gone on pilgrimage, being outstayed by his nephew Duryodhana out of the home, out of the palace. So Lord Krishna could not meet Vidura Maharshi, and it was his great desire. So he had left message with Uddhava to be passed on to Vidura Maharshi. But the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam explains how Uddhava considered it as not proper etiquette if he himself instructs Vidura in that message given by Lord Krishna. Why? Because Maitreya Maharshi was also present as a co-audience, and Maitreya Maharshi happened to be much, much more senior in terms of age. So Uddhava directed Vidura to go towards Badrikashram to meet Maitreya Maharshi and receive from him that message of Lord Krishna, and to follow the Vaishnava etiquette and not to perform Maryada Vyatikram, which is the breach of the Vaishnava etiquette, where a senior devotee is present, and rather than giving him the honor of conveying Lord Krishna's message, he himself being, of course, spiritually speaking, Uddhava was on a much higher level. Not only Uddhava, Bhagavatam mentions even Vidura was on a much elevated level than Maitreya Maharshi, because Maitreya Maharshi earlier on, he was a Jnani, but only in the personal association of the Lord and hearing from Lord Krishna in the association of Uddhava, he became attracted in pure bhakti. But still, Vidura Maharshi also gave that honor to Maitreya Maharshi. And while at the beginning of the dialogue itself, Maitreya Maharshi acknowledges the fact that, my dear Vidura, you are such a great personality coming from the semen of Srila Vyasadeva himself, that you are qualified to instruct me, but just because it is the will of the Lord and how it has been arranged that Uddhava sent you to me, that I will share this knowledge. Otherwise, you yourself are already in the know-how of whatever I'm going to discuss. So all these great saintly personalities, they assembled to show their support to Maharaj Parikshit and help him in his journey back home, back to Godhead. So we proceed. Now we will recite. Any questions, comments, Prabhujis, Matajis, in discussions on all these great saintly personalities who arrived to show their support to Maharaj Parikshit? Hare Krishna. Or anybody wants to share any other points on any of these great personalities?
Not any comment, Prabhuji, but this could have been one of the most significant moments on earth, isn't it? So many,
yes,
so many
very true.
Great personalities coming over.
And this is the time, as you rightly mentioned, Murli Prabhu, that this is the time when Bhagavatam is going to be spoken. So which is not ordinary. We see that even great personalities like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma and all, they are also eager to always hear these conversations between the great saintly personalities about Lord Krishna, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. We see so many instances like that famous instance in Guruvayur temple in Kerala. Is this Guruvayur temple where that pastime of Punthanam happened, where Punthanam used to go and recite from Srimad Bhagavatam, and Lord
Yes,
Shiva.
Prabhu.
Yeah?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. So Lord Shiva cherished it so much that every day he used to change the page to the start of that particular chapter, because Mother Parvati, Lord Shiva himself, and all his associates relish the recitation of Lord Krishna's pastime so much from his pure devotee Punthanam. So thank you, Murli Prabhuji. Rajiv Mukha Prabhuji, Rajiv Mukh Keshav Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
No, this is for chanting next sloka.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Radhika here.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, you were like when we were talking about Brahma, right? Most of them are shown as Brahma's children, right? So including Lord Shiva, who's Brahma's children, and Daksha is also Brahma's son.
Yes.
But people ask, I get confused. I don't know how to answer. If you can help me, like Daksha's daughter is when Shiva married, right? So technically, he marries his brother's daughter. Is that the way to see? Because today we say that you don't. It's in the same family line, right? It'll be
the marriages for the initial children of Lord Brahma, we cannot necessarily conform them to the modern etiquettes or the rules, norms that we follow. Because who are these personalities, the immediate children of Lord Brahma? The very purpose of Lord Brahma creating the children was to assist him in his service of propagating the mankind and different species as the Prajapatis. So that was their service. Okay. And this is one. And what was this? Yeah, one more thing is, whatever we see our Srimad Bhagavatam, it's only a small portion of, it is a very, very small summary of overall pastimes of Lord Krishna, because it gives the summary of mostly those pastimes which happen in this particular Kalpa, this particular day of Lord Brahma. Understand that Lord Brahma lives for 100 years and within 1 year he also has 360 odd days. So there are unlimited pastimes of the Lord, but because the capacity to understand of people in Kali Yuga is very limited, and the time and all the circumstances were such that Shukadev Goswami had a very limited setup to glorify Lord Krishna. So only those pastimes are mentioned. But it is mentioned that Bhagavatam in the higher planetary systems, it contains even larger number of pastimes of the Lord, even from other kalpas. Even in our Bhagavatam, there are some exceptions like Narad Muni's story of his previous life that happened in the different day of Lord Brahma. But otherwise, generally the pastimes are from the current day only.
So, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
yes.
Prabhuji, I was noticing in the verse, this 10th verse, how the word has been used, Bhagwan Naradascha.
Yes.
Dvepayano Bhagwan Naradascha. I think first time maybe I have personally seen, though we have seen in the 3rd chapter of this canto, where I think the 3rd incarnation, empowered incarnation mentioned as Devarishi Narada, but preceding verse, I've never seen Bhagwan being used for Narada. In the first place, maybe I have personally seen, but maybe you can correct me. There might be many other places it might have been mentioned, but in the translation, Srila Prabhupada has not mentioned in the same way. He mentioned great personality Narada. He did not mention with the same Bhagavan word actually. So maybe just wanted to clarify. First is I think the 3rd chapter where I came to know as the 3rd incarnation of the Lord. But this is the first place where I am personally seeing the Bhagavan word being used for Narada. Is my understanding correct, Prabhu?
So
is that
Bhagavan word is used in few places in Srimad Bhagavatam to even for great personalities like Narada Muni, even Lord Shiva, some places, even for Vyasadev. Of course, Vyasadev is an incarnation of the Lord, but still he's playing the role as an author of the Vedic scriptures. So generally it is used for Supreme Lord, but in some exceptional situations in Bhagavatam, it is also used to show the great devotees of the Lord. Prabhuji. So that is the reason. Even for other, we have seen few other instances as part of the discussion on Canto 1, where great devotees like Narad Muni here also being denoted or use this word Bhagavan, Prabhuji.
So is it okay, Prabhuji, because in many lectures, I was hearing a couple of lectures from the devotees in disciplic succession where they mention Bhagwan Shiv, something like that, the way you mentioned, So
Yeah,
I think,
so
is
yeah,
it okay if we are maybe
as
from a
long as
preaching
but
application perspective, is it
as long
okay?
as that glorification is in relation to Lord Krishna, that we glorify Lord Shiva as the greatest of the Vaishnavas because of his pure devotion to Lord Krishna, then it is okay. But if somebody is using that word to consider whoever is that great personality, either Brahma or Lord Shiva, as the supreme most, then that becomes like a Pashandi. That is one of the offense to consider the great devatas on the same level as Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. So we have to
Prabhuji.
careful to explain why that Bhagwan is used, then it is okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One last question, Prabhuji. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare
So, Dvaipayana is the disciple of Vyasa Maharaja.
Dvaipayana Vyasa. Here it is mentioned, yes.
Yes.
But yes.
Is he the same person or is someone else, Prabhuji?
Let me see. Hang on. Which line are you referring to, Prabhuji?
Last line of this verse, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Last line of the verse. If you go to the verse itself,
Dvaipayana Bhagavan,
you know Bhagwan Narad.
Naradas.
So
I believe, let me see, hang on.
he is not mentioned in the subsequent verse.
I will check and come back, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So for Vasudeva also, sometimes it is referred as Dvaipayana, no? Even though he has is decibel, one of the.
But
Yes,
so let me check the reference and I will come back, Prabhuji. Yeah. Who is the exact personality being referred to here? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Any other questions, comments, thoughts to share? If not, we proceed.
Vasudeva is Krishna Dvaipayana.
Krishna Dvaipayana is generally is referred to as that because Vyasadeva as such is also a post like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, Brahma, etc. But our Vyasadeva is incarnation of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we proceed. Text 11. Rajiv Mukha Keshav Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
1.19.11 verse. Annecha devarshi brahmarshi varya rajarshi varya arunadayascha nanashaye pravaran sameta nabhyarcha raja shirasava vande.
Translation.
There were also many other saintly demigods, kings and special royal orders called Arunadayas, a special rank of Rajarshis from different dynasties of sages. When they all assembled together to meet the emperor Parikshit, he received them properly and bowed his head to the ground.
Yes. So purport is small, Prabhuji. You can read the complete purport.
Purport. The system of bowing the head to the ground to show respect to superiors is an excellent etiquette which obliges the honored guest deep into the heart. Even the first grade offender is excused simply by this process, and Maharaja Parikshit, although honored by all the rishis and the kings, welcomed all the big men in that humble etiquette in order to be excused from any offenses. Generally, at the last stage of one's life, this humble method is adopted by every sensible man in order to be excused before departure. In this way, Maharaja Parikshit implored everyone's goodwill for going back home, back to Godhead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So here we see that Maharaj Parikshit, different Vaishnava acharyas, commentators, they time and again explain that, to be honest, he was completely pure and spotless in his character. So there was no mistake or offense at all, so to speak, in the behavior of Maharaj Parikshit. But this whole episode was arranged by the Lord in order to arrange in such a way that Maharaj Parikshit would leave home, Srimad Bhagavatam will arrive in that particular circumstances, and through his life, Srimad Bhagavatam will arrive to purify the entire mankind, to give purification for the entire fallen stage of the human beings in Kali Yuga. So here also Maharaj Parikshit is following this etiquette of bowing down in front of the great sages in a humble manner, so as to be excused of any offenses that he may have committed. But from our side, we should not consider this as the fact. We should consider that Maharaj Parikshit is showing through his own example the humility of a Vaishnava, how a Vaishnava is always very humble in submitting himself to other great saintly personalities. In the slides, I have given the example. Yes, sorry, one second. Yeah, I have shown the example of Srila Prabhupada from the life of Srila Prabhupada. Rajiv Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. You can read through the last portion, Srila Prabhupada during his final pastime.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada, during his final pastime, while leaving this mortal world, Srila Prabhupada's god brothers, born Maharaja Krishna Das Babaji, Ananda Prabhu, and Prabhupada's grandnephew, Narayan Maharaj, God nephew, Narayan Maharaj, soon arrived and sat on benches on either side of the bed, observing his consciousness. When Narayan Maharaj spoke in Prabhupada's ear, Prabhupada did not respond. But when Bhakti Charu told him that Maharaja and others were present, he slowly raised his left hand to his head in situation and
in salutation.
And started crying.
Yeah. So we see here Srila Prabhupada is not only in his final moments of his pastimes on this earthly planet, but this is his last day on the earthly planet. And there have been so many days and more than a week, few weeks when Srila Prabhupada has given up consuming solid food and all. And last few days, he was not even consuming any liquid diet. So body was completely frail and without any energy. And in that particular state, if you go to this reference that I have mentioned here in the slide, we will see this happened on the final day, on the day when Srila Prabhupada departed from this world, November 14th, if I'm not wrong, 1977. And despite this frail health, Srila Prabhupada Giriraj Maharaj mentions he was in perfect consciousness. And in this particular situation, we see that as soon as he was informed by his disciple, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, that his god brothers have arrived, Bona Maharaj, Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, Ananda Prabhu, they were all disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Prabhupada immediately made efforts to show his respects and offer obeisances, even in that state where his body was not capable, materially speaking, of honoring them properly. So he still raised his left hand and put it to his forehead to show his offering of obeisances to them. Do we see similar example, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, in Bhishmadev's pastime? Anybody recollects? How did Bhishmadev pay his honor and obeisances to all the great saintly personalities who arrived during his passing away? Bhagavatam does mention that. How did Bhishmadev honor?
Sweet words.
Sweet words, and yeah, he honored them through his loving glance and followed by sweet words. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that it is everyone's responsibility that when we receive Vaishnavas home, we should honor them properly by giving them a place to sit, giving them water and honoring them with the sweet words. And in case of Bhishmadev, because of the bodily limitations, he was on a arrow bed, he could not honor them physically. So he honored them with loving glance followed by the sweet words. So this is a very, very important etiquette. And Parikshit Maharaj is showing through his own example as we mentioned a while ago, how to honor the saintly personalities properly. He was grateful for their presence that they have shown to show their love and support to Maharaj Parikshit at this important time. So we proceed. Rajiv Mukh Prabhuji, please proceed with the translation. After all, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation. After all the rishis and others had seated themselves comfortably, the king, humbly standing before them with folded hands, told them of his decision to fast until death.
Purport?
Can I go through purport?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Purport. Although the king had already decided to fast until death on the bank of the Ganges, he humbly expressed his decision to elicit the opinions of the great authorities present there. Any important decision, however firmly fixed, should be confirmed by some authority. That makes the matter perfect. This means that the monarchs who ruled the earth in those days were not irresponsible dictators. They scrupulously followed the authoritative decisions of the saints and sages in the terms of Vedic injunction. Maharaja Parikshit, as a perfect king, followed the principles by consulting the authorities even up to the last days of his life.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that any important decisions, however firmly fixed, should always be confirmed by the authorities. And in the earlier last chapter also we saw how blessings of the devotees in anything that we do in our life is very, very important. We see so many examples, say in the life of students of Srila Jiva Goswami, namely Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu, and Srinivas Acharya. They received instruction from none other than the consort of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Jannava Devi, to go and preach in the Gaudiya Desh, namely modern day West Bengal, Bangladesh, Orissa, etc. That particular region, the Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya philosophy and the teachings, whatever they had learned from Jiva Goswami. But what did these three classmates and the friends, what did they do first? They went and begged permission and blessings from all the great devotees, including the six actually the six Goswamis. Probably I'm not sure whether they were even physically present, but whoever were not present, they went to their samadhi to seek blessings. They even went to Lokanath Goswami and all Bhugarbha Goswami and all other Goswamis apart from these six Goswamis to seek their blessings and permission. And finally, then they went to Jiva Goswami, their teacher, to seek his blessings and permission. And we also see in the life of Srila Prabhupada, when he was about to go to West, he spent several days meditating and deeply praying for the mercy and blessings of the Goswamis, especially Rupa Goswami. And just the day before Srila Prabhupada's departure to America from Kolkata Diamond Harbor, we see Srila Prabhupada went to Shantipur, and the Pujari of Advaita Bhavan in Shantipur vividly recalled that to the devotees later on, how Swamiji came and intensely spent his day chanting and praying for the mercy of Advaita Acharya and Shishi Gaur Nitai at Advaita Bhavan. So we see this particular quality of humility and utter dependence on the mercy and blessings of the predecessor devotees, the previous devotees in all the great souls, whether they are Acharyas like Narottam Das Thakur or even our own founder Acharya like Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that would make the matter perfect. That means if we have the blessings and mercy of the Acharyas, then even an impossible task can become possible. Recently, in the temple here, I saw a beautiful painting. So there are many paintings put up on the temple hall wall depicting the life of Srila Prabhupada. how he received the instruction from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in 1922 first time, and there are 2 times when he met Hare Krishna. Is there a background sound, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Devika Mataji, Radhika Mataji? Just take a look, please. So in one particular painting, it is explained how when Srila Prabhupada was traveling through Jaladuta on his journey through the ocean, when Srila Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks on Jaladuta, that particular painting showed all the different incarnations of Lord Krishna as well as the predecessor acharyas personally granting their blessings to Srila Prabhupada for this journey to be successful. And Lord Krishna, along with all his incarnations, Narsimha, Matsya Avatar, Hamsa Avatar, and so on and so forth, personally guiding the Jaladuta boat on the other side of the shore towards US. So point is, until and unless we have the blessings and mercy of the predecessor acharyas, and of course Srila Prabhupada also had the mercy of all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, no endeavor that we make can be perfect. So it is a very, very important point. And here we see Maharaj Parikshit as an ideal king, showing through his own example that he is taking the opinion of all these great sages who are who have assembled there, informing them of his decision to fast and basically taking their blessings. So we proceed. Hare Krishna. Anyone else wants to recite Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Please raise your hand. Gita, Pradeep, Mataji. And others can keep your hands raised. So I will request subsequent verses.
Hare
Gita,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Rajovacha
Rajo Uvacha
Aho Vayam Danyatama Nrupanam
Aho
Vayam Danyatamarupanam
Mahattamanugrahaniya Shila
Mahattamanugrahaniya Sila
Kulam Brahmana Padashauchat
Ragyam Kulam Brahmana Padashauchat
Prishtam Bata Radha Karma Translation. The fortunate king said, "Indeed, we are the most grateful of all the kings who are trained to get favors from the great souls. Generally, we sages consider royalty as refused to be rejected and left in a distant place."
Thank you, Mother. So before we go through the purport, one important word here in this verse is Dhanya Tama. So we have the comparative degree, we have the superlative in English. So Dhanya Tara and then Dhanya Tama. Dhanya Tama means the most fortunate. So King Parikshit is expressing his gratitude, calling himself as most grateful for all the saintly persons to have assembled theirs. Why? Because he mentioned that generally these saintly persons, they don't want to associate with the kings because the kings are considered as Vishayi, that because they are always indulged in opulence and material dealings, the saintly persons usually want to keep a distance. And he says that generally you, the sages, consider royalty as refuse. That means trash, as refuse to be rejected and left in a distant place. And let us see how Srila Prabhupada explains this in the purport. Gita Mataji, continue purport.
Purport. According to religious principles, stool, urine, wash water, etc. must be left at a long distance. Attached bathrooms, urinals, etc. may be very convenient amenities of modern civilization, but they are ordered to be situated at a distance from residential quarters. That very example is cited here in relation to the kingly order for those who are progressively marching back to Godhead. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that to be in an intimate touch with dollars and cents men or the kingly order is worse than suicide for one who desires to go back to Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji. So we'll see this example that Srila Prabhupada quotes here of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let me make it big. So we see that this particular king of the Orissa province, King Prataparudra, he was a greatly virtuous personality, and he had this great desire to be in the association of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. And we see in the first picture, so I have tried to depict it in the pictorial form for easier understanding. In the first picture, we see Prataparudra Maharaj is witnessing the glorious kirtan of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, in front of the temple of Lord Jagannath, and he is asking his minister first time that who are these great personalities, and specifically his priest Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. He explains all the great devotees and their great devotional qualities, and he also confirms Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Maharaj Prataparudra. And Maharaj Prataparudra himself, being a pious and virtuous king, he has his great desire to submit his life and surrender to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one time, now I'm not exactly explaining it in one by one, but skipping few points in order for the time restrictions. So one time, Maharaj Prataparudra, he is witnessing the dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in front of the Ratha cart, and he is standing in the circle of devotees who are surrounding Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what happens while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing in ecstasy, he basically loses his external consciousness, and in ecstasy he goes and falls into the arms of Maharaj Prataparudra, who was standing in the circle of devotees. And as soon as Mahaprabhu comes to the external consciousness, Mahaprabhu laments being in touch with this particular king, saying that I should have either entered the fire or I should have willingly taken the poison rather than coming in the bodily touch of a king who is apparently, basically because the king is involved in the kingly affairs, he is considered as a Vishayi by the renunciate. That means one who is engrossed in the materialistic activities. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows his complete displeasure with himself, that why did he allow himself to be touched by this worldly king, Maharaj Prataparudra. And Maharaj Prataparudra is very, very sorrow. Of course, he does not become angry or upset with Mahaprabhu, but he is very sorrow and upset with himself that because of his role as being the king, Mahaprabhu is not willing to grant his mercy and association to him. So it so happens that Prataparudra Maharaj, he even wants to denounce the kingdom in order to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but other devotees led by Nityananda Prabhu and all, they stop Prataparudra Maharaj because they know what great service he was rendering to all the devotees, being in this position as being the king. So they ask Maharaj Prataparudra to be patient and to wait for the right opportunity. And Maharaj Prataparudra somehow holds back, denouncing the kingdom. Now fast forward in next Ratha Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically notices the humility of Maharaj Prataparudra when he sees him being the king and still sweeping the road in front of Lord Jagannath's Ratha cart with his own hands. And that is the first time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes notice of Maharaj Prataparudra and his humility and surrender. So his basically heart, of course, he is the Supreme Lord. He knows who is how much sincere, but just to show for all of us, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's his opinion or heart starts changing, transforming towards Maharaj Prataparudra. So next, fast forward, the devotees, they arrange for Maharaj Prataparudra's son, whose complexion is like that of Lord Krishna, slightly bluish, to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as soon as he sees Maharaj Prataparudra's son, he gets reminded of Lord Krishna. He embraces the son and invests Krishna prema in that particular child. And when Maharaj Prataprudra sees his son getting the love of Godhead by embracing Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions that the son, being the representative of father, is as good as father. So he also becomes grateful and feels so much in debt, obligated to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for showing mercy to his son. And then the son embraces the father and he also gets the love of Godhead. And finally, all of these menial services that are rendered by Maharaj Prataprudra. And one more service which I have not shown here is every year during the Chaturmasya for the Jagannath Ratha Yatra festival, when the devotees from Bengal used to visit Jagannath Puri, Maharaj Prataprudra used to make meticulous arrangements for the lodging and boarding of all the devotees as well as prasadam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also takes a note of that how nicely Maharaj Prataprudra is serving all the devotees, staying in the background. He is not even coming in the foreground, because he knows that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not want to meet him because of him being the king. So he is serving the devotees in the background, and that is well noted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And ultimately, this all culminates in one time during the Ratha Yatra, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became tired and he wanted to take rest in between. He went to Jagannath Vallabh garden on the grand road where the Jagannath Ratha Yatra happens. And when Mahaprabhu was resting, then the devotees, they sent Maharaj Prataprudra in a disguised form. In the fifth photo, bottommost, Prataprudra Maharaj is wearing the simple dress of a Vaishnava. He is not in a kingly attire. The devotees send him to massage the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And here he starts singing the Gopi Geet, singing the glorification of the devotees by the gopis, by that famous verse, Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam. And there, Mahaprabhu, when he hears that particular verse from the mouth of Prataprudra, apparently Mahaprabhu is not aware that here is the king. So he says, sing again, and Mahaprabhu goes into ecstasy. And Prataprudra Maharaj, he becomes very happy and he continues singing the Gopi Geet. And by this menial service, finally Mahaprabhu embraces Maharaj Prataprudra and grants him his mercy. So the point is, coming back to this particular verse, that the saintly persons in general, they are averse to associating closely with the materialistic persons. And like Srila Prabhupada mentions, it is even worse than willingly drinking poison for a saintly person to associate with a dollar and cents man. That means any person who is attached to worldly enjoyment and making money. So we proceed. Mataji, you can continue with the purport in other words.
Yes, Guruji. Which paragraph?
In other words, here.
In other words, the transcendentalists do not generally associate with men who are too enamored by the external beauty of God's creation. By advanced knowledge in spiritual realization, the transcendentalist knows that this beautiful material world is nothing but a shadowy reflection of the reality, the kingdom of God. They are not, therefore very much captivated by royal opulence or anything like that. But in the case of Maharaja Parikshit, the situation was different. Apparently, the king was condemned to death by an inexperienced Brahmana boy, but factually he was called by the Lord to return to him. Other transcendentalists, the great sages and mystics who assembled together because of Maharaja Parikshit's fasting unto death were quite anxious to see him, for he was going back to Godhead. Maharaja Parikshit also could understand that the great sages who assembled there were all kind to his forefathers, the Pandavas, because of their devotional service to the Lord. He therefore felt grateful to the sages for being present there at the last stage of his life, and he felt that it was all due to the greatness of his late forefathers or grandfathers. He felt proud, therefore, that he happened to be the descendant of such great devotees. Such pride for the devotees of the Lord is certainly not equal to the puffed up sense of vanity for material prosperity. The first is reality, whereas the other is false and vain.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So we see here, so in this scenario, the saintly persons did not denounce the association of Maharaj Parikshit as a worldly king because they knew how great a devotee he was and in what situation he was, where he was unfairly cursed by an inexperienced son of a Brahmana, Shringi, and they also understood that it was the Lord's arrangement to bring back such a great devotee, Maharaj Parikshit, back home, back to Godhead. So they assembled here to show their support to Maharaj Parikshit, and they wanted to witness Maharaj Parikshit's going back home, back to Godhead. So they came assembled there. And Maharaj Parikshit, it is mentioned, he felt grateful and at the same time proud that it is just because of the piety of my great forefathers and their goodwill that all these sages have assembled here, not because of my greatness, but because they have been kind to my forefathers, the Pandavas. So we proceed. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, on this
Hare
particular
Krishna,
point?
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. So, Prabhuji, this pastime that you have shown, Maharaj Pratap Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. So that same pastime actually we just enacted in Singapore on the Gaur Purnima, recent Gaur Purnima, and I was fortunate by the mercy of Shri Guru and Gauranga, I got to play the part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that in that play, Prabhuji. Yeah, Gopalak Prabhu, arranged that. But very, very thankful to him and to all the devotees here in Singapore, Prabhuji. I think that was wonderful, because last year only I completed my first ever reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and feeling very fortunate to, play this very, very elevated role, Prabhuji, though I'm not, maybe very, very, very fallen soul, but I think got to play the role of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
For sharing. So let us go back to text 14. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna. Are devotees able to hear me? Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Rohini Mataji, you want to recite? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I recite, Prabhuji.
Okay, 1 second. Vandita Mataji. Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandas.
तस्यैव मेघस्य परावरेषु व्यासक्तचित्तस्य गृहेष्यभीक्ष्णम् निर्वेदमूलो द्विजसापरूपो यत्र प्रसक्तो भयमासुधत्ते.
Translation.
Hand down करना.
Are you able to see, Mataji, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Okay, no worries. You can read.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has Hare Krishna.
Okay, fine, Mataji, I will read. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. So what quality of Parikshit Maharaj, Prabhuji's, Mataji's comes out from this particular verse? Anyone? What is the quality of Parikshit Maharaj that is manifested here?
He doesn't blame anyone for the situation he's in.
Yes, and what next? What does he blame it on? What does he put the
On himself. On
on
himself.
himself? Murli Prabhu?
I don't remember the quality, but I can see the
So the
interpretation.
qualities is humility. He's not
Humility.
putting the blame
Yes.
on anyone else, but he is considering himself at a very low platform, that just to get me out of this material attachment and detach myself from these worldly affairs, Krishna has kindly arranged this. Rohini Mataji, you want to read through the purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Purport: Maharaja Parikshit, although born in a family of great devotees, the Pandavas, and although securely trained in transcendental attachment for the association of the Lord, still found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. Maharaja Parikshit could understand this by the presence of the topmost transcendentalists in the universe. The Lord resides with his devotees, and therefore the presence of the great saints indicated the presence of the Lord. The king therefore welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of favor of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that even a great personality like Maharaj Parikshit, he found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. What does it mean? Does it mean that Maharaj Parikshit was really allured by the worldly family responsibilities? The answer is not at all. In the earlier verses and the purports itself, Prabhupada mentions that Maharaj Parikshit had a spotless character. He was not at all allured by any of these mundane familial affection. But through various verses, Srila Prabhupada is throwing light on this particular incident from various angles just to teach us a lesson. So in this particular verse and the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining to all of us how these worldly familial affections, these attachments are so strong that sometimes Krishna has to make a special plan to take a devotee out of this. And Maharaj Parikshit was certainly not one of such cases. He is only a playing part to manifest this particular pastime for all of our benefit. We should never ever think that he was allured by this mundane family affection. For sure, not. So let me go back to the slide. Yes. So great souls, they have a way to show mercy to the fallen souls, to take them out of the worldly attachments and worldly affections. And there are many examples. Oops. Yeah. So I will start with the second example first. There is a very famous story of a saint in the Sri Sampradaya, basically the spiritual master of Sri Ramanujacharya, the story of Yamunacharya. So Yamunacharya, he was raised in a very, very exemplary manner in devotional principles by his predecessor, by his grandfather Nathamuni. And later on, because of one particular arrangement where Yamunacharya, as a young boy, he was called for a debate in the assembly of a king. And the condition was put that if Yamunacharya, who was at that time a young boy, if he wins that debate, he will get half of the kingdom. And somehow it so happened that Yamunacharya did win, and he did get half of the kingdom, and he himself became the king for that allocated kingdom. But later on, in the management of that kingdom, he became so engrossed that he got astray, distracted from the path of devotional service. And his own grandfather, who had so lovingly trained his grandson in devotional principles, he was very concerned. And before his passing away, Nathamuni, the grandfather of Yamunacharya, he instructed his disciple Rama Mishra to help bring back his grandchild onto the path of devotional service so that he could resume. And Rama Mishra, the long story short, he tries to visit Yamunacharya, who has now become a king, but because the king is always guarded by so many ministers, soldiers, and is busy with his daily affairs, it was not easy for Rama Mishra to get direct audience with this king Yamunacharya. So he played a trick. He somehow gained entrance as a cook for Yamunacharya to cook food for him. And he used to make a special type of vegetable preparation, green vegetable, a special type of spinach, which Yamunacharya relished very much, a special type of shak, they call it in Bengal. So Rama Mishra daily used to make it, and one time deliberately he skipped making that vegetable for the king. And the king got very restless that where is my daily shaka vegetable that I like so much. And then who is that person who makes that vegetable? And then Rama Mishra was brought in front of Yamunacharya. And then he convinced the king to walk with him on a walk into the forest. And then he again started reciting the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. And Yamunacharya, he remembered his good old days when he was taught lovingly by Natha Muni and other devotees. And he understood how he had become distracted from the path of devotional service. And then he again went on to become a great devotee of the Lord. So the point is, the path of material life, sometimes even great personalities can also become distracted. But how the great devotees of the Lord, they have a way of showing their mercy to bring such souls back on track. Similarly, we see in the writings of one of Srila Prabhupada's glorious disciples, His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu, that one time Bhurijan Prabhu and one of his god brothers, they had gone to meet Srila Prabhupada in New Vrindavan. And they had conversation with Prabhupada and were leaving from that place when Srila Prabhupada saw them from the window of his quarters and called them back. And the devotees, they came back. And then Srila Prabhupada lovingly gave his garland to this god brother who was accompanying Bhurijan Prabhu. And both of them again paid obeisances, were leaving from that place. And Bhurijan Prabhu, he didn't say anything, but he was contemplating in his mind that why did Srila Prabhupada show mercy only to my god brother? Why didn't he give me also one garland? And but he didn't say anything. Later on, few months down the line, Bhurijan Prabhu came to know that this particular devotee who was accompanying him on his visit to Srila Prabhupada, he had left the moment. And there were some early signs earlier on where Srila Prabhupada came to know when these devotees had come to meet with him, that this devotee was having some problems in his life, and he was quite disturbed. And then Bhurijan Prabhu recollects that how Srila Prabhupada as a great Acharya could have very well foreseen what was to happen, that this devotee may leave Krishna consciousness. And in order to show his mercy to this devotee, Srila Prabhupada lovingly gave him his Mahaprasad, the garland. And Bhurijan Prabhu felt grateful, and there was no more any envy but appreciation in his heart that my spiritual master, he wanted to help his disciples, and that's why he gave Mahaprasad to this devotee. And there have been so many examples of devotees of Srila Prabhupada who, after the departure of Srila Prabhupada from this world, they, in few cases, they did go astray and got distracted, went out of the Krishna consciousness moment. But because the love and calling of Srila Prabhupada was so strong that quite a few of them, at the very fag end of their life, after being out of the moment for quite a few decades, they did come back because of the mercy of the devotee, Srila Prabhupada's other disciples who were running the moment. So the point is, these great souls like Srila Prabhupada or Natha Muni in the other example, they have their ways of showing their mercy to the fallen conditioned souls to bring them back on track. And of course, in the case of Parikshit Maharaj, he himself can say out of his humility, but we should never think he has never gone astray. He has never gone distracted from Krishna consciousness. But he is thinking that all these saintly persons have come here just to protect me and help me remember Krishna at the fag end of my life. And now that I have been put into this situation, because it is the mercy of the Lord to pull me out of this material attachment. So the purport and the explanation, it is for our learning, but we should not assign it to Maharaj Parikshit. He just playing that role to show us through his example. Any question, comment, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Please don't get confused. In one purport, Srila Prabhupada is calling Parikshit a spotless person. And in other purport, he is saying, even a person like Maharaj Parikshit found the allurement of mundane family life very strong. So don't consider it as contradictory. It is to explain the same scenario through multiple dimensions. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. All right, let us proceed. Rohini Mataji, continue with the translation, text 15.
Text 15. O Brahmanas, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul, and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way, for I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird or whatever magical thing the Brahmana created bite me at once. I only desire that that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. Purport. As soon as one is given up completely onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, he is not at all afraid of death. The atmosphere created by the presence of great devotees of the Lord on the bank of the Ganges, and Maharaja Parikshit's complete acceptance of the Lord's lotus feet was sufficient guarantee to the king for going back to Godhead. He thus became absolutely free from all fear of death. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So it is explained here by Srila Prabhupada in the purport that Maharaj Parikshit's going back to Godhead was already assured. Why it was assured? One reason was he had taken a complete shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And second reason was he was surrounded by these great devotees, the saintly personalities on the banks of the Ganges to help him remember the Supreme Lord. So there was no question that Maharaj Parikshit was to go back to Godhead.
Prabhuji, one more reason could be there, Prabhuji. One more reason. He was saved by Lord in his mother's womb, no, Prabhuji. Could
Yes,
that be one of the reasons?
So yes, so he was saved by the Lord's while in mother's womb. So definitely Lord would also protect him because he has had a glorious life in devotional service. Lord would also protect him at the time of his death. One second, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, did I? Yeah, I think this particular verse, I missed covering it. So this is a supporting verse by how different devotees in different statuses of living in different varnashrama institutions, how they are protected by the Lord through the path of purification. So this verse comes in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where for persons in different orders of social life, like say for example, the brahmacharis, the grahasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, how the purification is recommended for them. Like especially for the brahmacharis, let me just come out of the full screen. Yeah, especially for the brahmacharis, the path is mentioned that of complete control of the senses, sense control. That is mentioned as the path for the brahmacharis for purification and ultimately achieve the shelter of Supreme Lord Krishna. Similarly, for the grahasthas, what is the path that is mentioned? Santushtya yena kenava. Especially for the grahasthas, it is mentioned that one should always be satisfied with three things. One is the food that we obtain by the mercy of the Lord. Second is whatever the worldly possessions, opulence that we receive in our life by the mercy of the Lord. And third is our spouse. We should be completely satisfied with whatever spouse that has been chosen by the Lord for us. And we should never complain about them. That is the principle. Of course, there can be some changes in the details case by case basis, but these are the principles. And for the renunciate, it is mentioned that dayaya sarva bhuteshu. That means such great personalities who are in the renounced order of life, they can experience the Brahma Bhuta pleasure for themselves, but they should not remain satisfied or content in keeping that satisfaction or pleasure just for themselves, but they should be careful, attentive, and anxious to share that Brahma Bhuta pleasure even with worldly people, like Shukadev Goswami is doing here. So these personalities, they are completely self-satisfied, but they are very eager to uplift the worldly people in their Krishna consciousness. So for Shukadev Goswami, it is mentioned that persons like him, they would stay at the house of the householder, not even stay, stand at the doorstep of a householder just the amount of time it would take to milk a cow, and they would utilize that excuse to beg for charity from a householder, the charity of milk, in order to give them Krishna consciousness, in order to make them hear Krishna Katha. So these are the qualities that are mentioned for persons in different orders of life, how we can purify our existence and ultimately achieve shelter of Lord Krishna. So we proceed. Oops. So here Maharaj Parikshit is surrendering himself to all the great saintly personalities, and Bhagavatam is assuring Parikshit Maharaj is going back to Godhead because of these factors. So I have planned 2-3 more verses, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Let's cover through them. Anyone has any question, Prabhuji's Mataji, so far? Based on this, what we discussed? Hare Krishna. There are few hands raised. All are for the verses. Divya Rukmini Mataji, want to recite or you have any question?
Recite, Prabhu.
Recite? Okay, all right. So you can recite text 16, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Punascha bhuyad bhagavat anante. Yadi bhuyad bhagavat anante. Yadi prasangasya tadashrayeshu.
Ashrayeshu
Mahatsuyamyamupayami srishtim.
Mahatsuyam upayami srishtim
Maitrastu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah.
Maitriyatru sarvatra namo dvibhijaya.
Sarvatra namo dvijebhyah.
Translation?
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Again, offering obeisances unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I could again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relation with all living beings. Hare Krishna.
And here he's saying, if I should, not I could. I could means as if he is desiring. If at all he has to take birth as a human being, then it should be within the association of devotees. One second, the purport highlighted part. You are on mute, Divya Rukmini Mataji.
Hare Krishna. A devotee of the Lord is no one's enemy, although there may be many enemies of a devotee. Shall I continue or?
Yeah, continue. Yes.
A devotee of the Lord does not like to associate with non-devotees, although he has no enemies with them. He desires association with the devotees of the Lord. This is perfectly natural because birds of the same feather mix together. And the most important function of a devotee is to have complete attachment for the Lord Sri Krishna, the Father of all living beings. As a good son of the Father behaves in a friendly way that all his other brothers, so also the devotees of the Lord. Being a good son of the Supreme Father, Lord Krishna sees all other living beings in relation with the Supreme Father. He tries to bring back the upstart sons of the Father as a saner stage and to get them to accept the Supreme Fatherhood of God. Maharaja Parishit was certainly going back to Godhead, but even if he were not to go back, he prayed for a pattern of life which is the most perfect way in the material world. A pure devotee does not desire the company of a personality as great as Brahmana, but he prefers the association of
Brahma, as great as Brahma. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. As a Brahma, but he prefers the association of a pretty living being, provided he is a devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So, does anyone recollect this Vaishnav song, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what Srila Prabhupada is referring to in the last verse? Anyone? Mahesh Prabhu, can you search if you know this Vaishnav song? That where the devotee prays that I don't want to take birth even in a even in the form of a great personality like Lord Brahma, but I would prefer a birth as a insect, even as an insect, but that birth should be in the house, in the family of a devotee, so that I get their association. So the point is, Brahma is obviously a exalted personality, no doubt about it. But a devotee's aspiration is also always to seek devotee association. And in order to get that, he won't mind even having a very humble birth as an insect, but he should be assured of devotee association. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that a good son of a father, he makes every effort to behave well with all other sons, all other brothers of his, and also try to bring other brothers who may have forgotten about the father to bring them back to the Supreme Father. He tries to bring back the upstarts, sons of the Father, to a saner stage. So in this regard, there is a very beautiful story that comes in the Bible where Lord Jesus himself describes the story of son of a prodigal son. The prodigal son of the Supreme Father, where it is mentioned that one particular child of the father, who is a very, very rich man, he has become rebellious, and because of his rebellion, he has given up the home and the shelter of his father and has gone astray and has started living on his own. But the father is so worried, so anxious about the well-being of this child, that while the son is upset with him for some reason and has gone rebellious, he does not get upset with the son, but he makes every effort to have his representatives, to have his ministers and all take care of the material necessities of the son and have them build rapport, have them build relationship with his son, so that even if the son is not nice to his father, the son can be nicer to his representatives, and through his representatives the millennial father can take good care of his son. So similarly, it is explained that even when the living entity, he becomes vimukha, he turns his head away from Lord Krishna, Krishna always tries to connect with that rebellious child through various representatives, like sometimes the devatas, sometimes the great devotees, that even if you don't want to connect with my dear son, if you want to connect with the devatas for some material gain, at least do that. That means at least connect with Krishna in an indirect manner. In Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 9 as well as chapter 7, Krishna mentions these those personalities who are connected with the devatas, the devata worshippers, as the indirect worshippers of his. Why they are indirect worshippers? just like the story of the prodigal son, that the son does not want to speak with the father, have any connection with the father. So the father is making his representatives, his ministers, have any connect with the son whatsoever. And gradually, through that connect with his representatives, then there is a hope that the son would also be connected with the Supreme Father subsequently. So Maharaj Parikshit is seeking the association of such devotees life after life, so that through their association, he would remember the Supreme Lord. And now we will come to almost the last verse for today, last two verses. Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can recite.
Iti smarajathya vasasya yuktaha.
Iti smarajathya vasasya yuktaha.
Prachina muleshu kusheshu dhiraha.
प्राचीनमूलेषु कुशेषु धीरः
Udanmukho dakshinakola aste.
Udanmukho dakshinakola
Samudra patnya swasuta nyasta bharaha.
समुद्रपत्न्या स्वसुतो न्यस्तभारः.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. In perfect self-control, Maharaja Parikshit sat down on a seat of straw with straw roots facing the east, placed on the southern bank of the Ganges, and he himself faced the north. Just previously, he had given charge of his kingdom over to his son.
Continue with the translation of 18th verse, Mataji.
Yeah. You may read the purport of this, Prabhuji? Purport?
We can skip. You can read it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thus the king Maharaja Parikshit sat to fast until death. All the demigods of the higher planets praised the king's actions and in pleasure continually scattered flowers over the earth and beat celestial drums. I'll continue, Prabhuji.
Continue the highlighted part.
Yeah. Thus, any devotee of the Lord on the surface of the earth is always praised by them. And in the case of Maharaja Parikshit, they were greatly delighted and thus gave tokens of honor by scattering flowers over the earth and by beating celestial drums. A demigod takes pleasure in seeing someone go back to Godhead. He is always pleased with a devotee of the Lord, so much so that by his aditaivic powers, he may help the devotees in all respects. And by their actions, the Lord is pleased with them. There is an invisible chain of complete cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotee of the Lord on earth. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see the Devatas, they are very much pleased seeing a devotee of the Lord progress in his path towards Krishna, towards Lord Krishna. And there are so many examples of great Devatas showing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, showing their appreciation to get the association of devotees. The famous example is Sanatan Goswami when he was staying near Govardhan. So Sanatan Goswami, of course, he was being bothered by the mosquitoes, but he was not bothered about his bodily discomfort. But he was concerned that these mosquitoes causing disturbance in his service of writing the scriptures as instructed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sanatan Goswami decided to leave that particular place and move to a different place. But near that cave where Sanatan Goswami was residing on the periphery of Govardhan, there was temple of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva was very much fond of Sanatan Goswami's association. So he came in a disguised form and requested Sanatan Goswami to stay in that particular place for one more day, and if the situation does not rectify itself, then he can leave the next day to go to a different place. And Sanatan Goswami agreed to stay back, and immediately Lord Shiva, he directed the particular in charge Devata for insects to make sure that from that particular cave, the mosquitoes, they don't appear there again. And Sanatan Goswami, he found complete change next day onwards, where the mosquitoes were not at all there anymore disturbing him. And as a result, he happily continued his stay in that particular place. Thus, Lord Shiva, he also continued to get association of Srila Sanatan Goswami. So here again it is mentioned, a demigod takes pleasure in seeing someone go back to Godhead. He is always pleased with a devotee of the Lord, so much so that by his Adidaivik powers, he may help the devotees in all respects. By their actions, the Lord is pleased with them. Even it is mentioned that for those upasaks or worshippers of Lord Shiva who are sincerely worshipping him, not for material benefits, but sincerely wanting to advance in their Krishna consciousness, or who are sincere, not wanting material pleasure, to such worshippers of Lord Shiva, it is mentioned at the time of their death, Lord Shiva personally takes the name of Lord Ramachandra, Lord Vishnu, chants the name of Lord Vishnu in their ears at the time of their passing away, thus helping them progress towards Lord Krishna. And there are so many such examples, but these are to mention a few, specifically the example of Sanatan Goswami. Of course, Sanatan Goswami is one of the Manjaris, Lavanga Manjari. So he is one of the eternal associates of the Lord. But in general, even for a practicing devotee, the Devatas are very much pleased. Not only Devatas, but even our ancestors, Prabhujis, Matajis, those who have left their bodies, they are also pleased seeing their descendants taking to the path of devotional service, because seeing us taking to the path of devotional service, they are hopeful that if this person becomes a nice devotee, they would also be benefited from that. So with this, we will conclude our discussion for today, and we will continue how the Devatas, they are also very much pleased with Parikshit Maharaj, and subsequently how Shukadev Goswami arrives there, how he is given the great honor by everyone, all the great sages who are assembled there, including Vyasadev, Narada Muni, and everybody, to take up the seat to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. So are there any questions, comments, Prabhujis, Matajis? Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Divya Rukmini Mata.
Prabhu, that slide please. Okay. Prabhu, there is an invisible chain of complete cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotees of the Lord on earth. Can you please light me up that what is the chain, invisible chain? Like it's a bhakti
Invisible chain
or
means it's a cooperation. That means, see, who are Devatas? Devatas are definitely devotees. They know what is the highest perfection in life. However, if we leave aside some of the exceptions like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and so on, most of the Devatas, they are Karma Mishrita Bhaktas. So while these Devatas are themselves may not be 100% on the platform of pure devotional service, the Karma Mishrita Devatas, but all of them, they do know for sure that what is the highest perfection of life. And that's why Bhagavatam mentions that they are very appreciative of any devotee progressing on the path of devotional life. So they try to help that devotee in every particular way in order to make them progress in their Krishna consciousness. Just like we saw the story of Lord Shiva helping Sanatan Goswami to remove the disturbance in his service, because he cherished the association of Sanatan Goswami. So he made, through his Adidaivik powers, he arranged in such a way that Sanatan Goswami is not inconvenienced in any way. Okay, so that invisible chain is nothing but the support and the encouragement which these Devatas give to the devotees, so that they can advance in their Krishna consciousness properly, they can serve Lord Krishna properly. Let me try to think of one more example, a more practical one. See, personalities like Srila Prabhupada, for example, when Srila Prabhupada was in his household life, Srila Prabhupada himself mentioned that he used to study Srimad Bhagavatam and the commentary by spiritual master Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to study Srimad Bhagavatam for around 3 to 4 hours in his household lives on a daily basis. But we see what sort of intelligence and what sort of remembrance Lord Krishna gave him, and obviously there must have been empowerment, cooperation even from the devatas like Mother Saraswati and all, that the moment he wanted to remember a verse from any scripture, not just Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, he quotes from so many Upanishads, he quotes from so many Puranas, so on and so forth, that he quotes them as if he's reading them within his mind. Is it not a cooperation and empowerment by the devatas as well, that he could serve Lord Krishna so nicely?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So definitely there is a cooperation and empowerment, or other way around. Say, for example, and this is the experience of so many devotees, not just Prabhupada. Prabhupada, when he started the movement, initially there was so much struggle, and Prabhupada mentions, by the help of the initial devotees who became the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, only Lakshmi was arranged for 1 month's rent. Mataji, can you imagine? Will we dare to rent a place for our movement if we have visibility of finances only for 1 month's rent? Not at all. Nobody will dare. Srila Prabhupada did dare. And what was the result? Krishna arranged, and all the devatas also they assisted. Subsequently, Lakshmi kept coming, that Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Previously, Krishna tested me by taking away everything in his household life when the business was a failure. But now, with the movement flourishing, Prabhupada said, now Krishna is testing me by giving me everything. That means the opulence kept coming, and Srila Prabhupada kept engaging in Krishna's service. So that is also definitely a cooperation from the Devata side, isn't it? So one thing is from the external arrangements, so to speak, or I'll give you another example. Say, permission for the first ever Ratha Yatra in New York, if I am not wrong. There was not place for the Ratha cart to be kept and assembled and all that. There were so many restrictions, because of which the police chief was not willing to give permission. And of course, we don't want to... Rasarangini Mataji, you want to stop going live? I want to give one example.
Yes, Prabhu. Hey, Krishna, Prabhu, you're the host, so you can only stop.
Okay, one
And
second.
Prabhu, one small request. After you finish the class, don't end the meeting, because
Sure.